Next comes our artificial intelligence. We all know we come across the artificial intelligence in many places, but we do not know this is the artificial intelligence. So, artificial intelligence is the word that is coined by the John McCarthy. According to him, artificial is nothing, making the machine to behave like the human. That is the artificial intelligence according to the man McCarthy. So he's saying that artificial intelligence is the science and engineering of making intelligent machine. That means we should make the machine to think like human being and make a decision like a human being, and it should perform like a human. Again, when we are talking about the artificial intelligence, they are categorizing the intelligence part into three types. One is artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence. What is called artificial narrow intelligence? Artificial narrow intelligence is also called as weak artificial intelligence. It involves only for applying it to the specific task. For example, you might have come across Alexa in all the applications, almost all the sectors the Alexa has been set. For example, banking sector or whatever it may be. So you can ask the Alexa some queries, you will get the some prompt answers. If you go out of the domain, that is the where you are using it, it will not answer. It will say, "Sorry, I don't understand your question or your query." It cannot answer for all the questions. It can answer for only very few questions. So, what is called artificial general intelligence? So, artificial general intelligence, also called a strong AI, involves the mission that possesses the ability to perform any intellectual task that a human being can do. So, for example, if a robot is playing a chess with a human, so it will come under the category of artificial general intelligence. The last and super one is called as the artificial super intelligence. That means when the capability of the computer will surpass the human, when the machine going to overcome the human or surpass the human ability, we are going to call that thing as the artificial super intelligence. Subset of the artificial intelligence is the machine learning, where the AI is going to focus on getting the machine to take their own decision by having the data, by getting the data, or by the data what we fed it to them. So this is called machine learning. Next comes your deep learning. Deep learning is nothing. It is going to solve the complex problem. So complex problems can be solved by the neural networks. You all know the what is called neurons. Neurons are the brain related thing. We have the thousands and millions of neurons in our brain. So these neurons are used to solve the complex problem. So here in deep learning, we will be using more and more complicated algorithm to take the not to take the decisions. Already the machine learning will do the taking of decisions, but deep learning will take the decision. What decision? Intellectual decision. It will give the best decision for a complex problem. So this is where deep learning comes into the role in the whole artificial intelligence. So, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning are interrelated fields. So, as I told you that AI is branching out in every aspect of our life. It's possible that one day AI might take over our life. So, I'm not sure about this answer to this question. So, we have to wait and see whether AI will do all those things. So, having the knowledge of the cloud computing, artificial intelligence, what is the machine learning and deep learning, we are going to learn what is called IoT. IoT is nothing, Internet of Things. So, if the device, it is not that connecting a device to the internet, it is not connecting a device to the internet and getting the data. We are going to have the electronic gadget connected to each other and to the internet. So this is the IoT. So So, for example, suppose if I have the GPS tracking system in my mobile, you have the mobile, smartphone. So, there we will be having GPS tracking, mobile gyroscope, and adaptive brightness, void detection, face detection, all these things will be there. So, by having the GPS, by having the location, automatically you might have seen that your mobile brightness will be adjusted according to the temperature, according to the brightness intensity what we are having. So these are how these are the things possible means these things are connected, interrelated. So by seeing the GPS tracking, by getting the location temperature, the location humidity, everything, automatically our brightness of our phone will be adjusted. In the similar way, there are many things that can be done using this IoT. So in simple way, if I want to say what is called IoT means connecting everyday things embedded with electronic, that is the electronic gadget, either it may be electrical light or your AC or your home locking system, whatever it may be. So using the software and sensors, we are connecting to it, we are connecting all those gadgets and all those things to the internet, enabling them to collect and exchange the data among them. That is called the internet of things. So not only the one thing is here, electronic gadgets, sensors and software join together, work together, they are going to communicate together and they will give you collectively a result. For example, if I want to say that, suppose if a person is there under the investigation, medical investigation, I'm telling about the advantages of this IoT. What will happen if it is there? For consider a person at your home, he is on the constant life support where and his status is being checked to the health monitoring system present on the cloud. Let's say at a point there is a certain issue with respect to his health. Let's say there is some irregularity with his heartbeat or his blood pressure. So what will happen? Or you can say some fluid is being there in the lap or the sofa, or what happened since the system is on the cloud is connected to the hospital. So everything, the person that set up the whole setup, the person who is not well, the bed and the sofas, all these electric gadgets will be connected to the hospital, and then using some of the sensors, and not only that, the if the person is getting worse, what will happen? It will be alarmed to the hospital immediately. Not only the alarming to the hospital, not only the hospital will get the information, it will also get the information regarding the heart pulse, BP rate, and everything will be sent to the hospital. Soon the hospital get all these details. They will send the ambulance to the patient home automatically by the person. When the ambulance receives the home, everything will be. I mean, when the ambulance receives the hospital, everything will be monitored and everything will be reported. The doctors, those who are standby for this person, they will also be available in the hospital, keeping ready whatever may be the prescription, or if the patient need any operation, that will be operation theater will be ready, or the medicine which is needed by the patient, that will be also ready in the hospital. So by the ambulance comes to the hospital, everything will be ready in the hospital, so that we can save the life of a man. Not only that, for example, today also I saw in my street that even after 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the street lights were there in the operation. So what is the electricity cost of that? So if we have the IoT connected to the each and everything, what will happen means automatically when the light is glowing, when the temperature is more, when the sun sets, automatically we can have the sensor and we can switch off the electricity thing by their own with the control of some programs and sensors and whatever it may be. So we can save the electricity. Likewise, we can build a smart city which will do the particular thing on its own by using the sensors and the programs written by the programmer. For example, if my home a lock system, if my AC, if my electricity lights, and if my car, and if my mobile, everything is connected in the same platform. You assume that everything is connected in the same platform. So what will happen? Whenever I reaches my home through the car, it will be automatically intimated to the lock system which is there in my home that I am nearby. Automatically, the lock will be open. If this will be intimated to the AC also, so automatically AC will be on. It will be like cooling system will be there in our home as soon as I enter into the home. All these things can be done using the IoT. So these are the things we can do very effectively with the IoT. Why do we need IoT? As I told you
Super
that
great.
it is nothing. We are expanding the interdependence of the human to interact, collaborate, and contribute to the thing. That is why we need the IoT. All time human beings cannot be
Say,
very alert. We will be
Department
also
signal
tired with
coming.
some
Media
work.
work,
We
community
will
work,
be also
low
busy
battery
with some
level.
work. So we can allot these things
Very
to the
good.
electronic
Huh?
gadget using the technology which is trending. So benefits of Internet of Things is resource utilization, minimizing the human effect. It also saves the time. As I told you, when the patient is not well, if everything is connected to the same platform, automatically hospital will be informed regarding these things. So this will save the time of the doctors and nurses after coming person coming to the hospital, checking them what has happened, everything. That time can be saved, and the tension also can be reduced. So development of AI through IoT, we can develop more and more AI things through the IoTs also. So it is also secured thing. So I hope you get an idea regarding this trending technologies in 2020. If there is any questions, you can ask.
Then I'll just share a quick scenario, right, out of the experience which I had. Probably, if that could be useful to all as well. So back in 90s, we used to more work on the mainframe systems. Then the mainframe got evolved, and Tandem, other systems started came into picture. Then slowly the Java-based systems, the Linux-based system came into picture. I'm more referring to the IT industry, right? How the software got evolved, the working pattern got evolved in the IT industry, right? The monitoring of the systems are very easy. Like the one of the example which ma'am gave, when patient is sick, when going to the hospital has the report, everything handy, right? Similarly, if any problem on the application, we have a beautiful systems developed, a beautiful monitoring system like App Dynamics, or let's say Splunk, which will show clearly which server, which instance went down. Just by looking into the application, we can find out, right? The monitoring application, we can find out what went wrong. In olden days, we used to go to the Linux command prompt, and we need to type all the commands and find the logs, read it manually. For a IT person, it's very hectic. It's not easy to troubleshoot things in that way. But now things have become very easier, where it has become user friendly, and we can see the actual issue where it's going on, and troubleshooting was much easier. Even from the development point of view, right, where the old way, the code review, the compilation of the code was very hectic, and it was very difficult task to review a code. It takes hours and days and weeks. But now we have Bitbucket into picture, where the code review has become very easier comparatively, and approval of code and merging the code and deploying into the final production release. The Bitbucket and GitHub, those kind of DevOps tool which is evolved right now, it has really made the overall the development, the application cycle very easy, right? So just want to share the IT part, how the things got evolved. But this session, if you ask me, is it only for the computer engineers or IT people? Definitely not. It's for everyone, right? Because we are all part of technology. We are involved with technology, so it is useful for even for commerce, or people with other mechanical background. For anyone, this knowledge of knowing how the technology is evolving, especially on the computer side, it is going to be useful at any point of time, whether it's a personal life or a professional life. It is going to help. So There are more details where you can find it in the online as well. But yeah, this is actually very good session to start with, where you can know how the things are trending and going to trend in the upcoming quarter or the upcoming decade that we have. So with that said, again we'll give another 2 more minutes for the questions.
So what up? Thanks by Mr. Venkat.
Thank you, sir, and also thank you, Dr. Madhukeshwari, ma'am. It has been a very useful session, and we had a good knowledge sharing happened. And like again, one message to everyone is that whether you're going to be a commerce person, or a graduate, or engineering graduate, or a medical, or arts and science, any graduate, right? This technology awareness is very important. Maybe the level or the expertise that you require to learn that may differ based on the specific field, but the awareness and basic knowledge on these technologies is going to be very very important for everyone. Again, thank you very much, ma'am. It was very helpful.
Yes. Thank you
Once
very
again,
much, sir.
once again, thank you, madam, on behalf of IJSS and WWA and DI Tech, madam.
So I'm very grateful to you and ma'am, Dr. Pramoda ma'am, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I quite enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you.
Yep.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you all. Happy weekend. See you
Well.
next